What's up, YouTube? PokePrimer here, Prime ready to deliver you a team update for the JLPC. After our Week 3 matchup, there were some... Dude, chill. Stop being a dick. Cats, man, I swear. Chill out. I guess he's telling me now it's time to set up his new water dish. Alright, Wesker, fine. I'll get to it eventually. Anyways, we're here to update you on the team for the JLPC, as there have been 2 transactions done post Week 3. After my match with No Shoes, looking at my team, there were certain aspects that I just wasn't all on board with, and I'll elaborate more, obviously, now. One thing I felt our team needed was some cleric support. Because looking at our roster, and I'll actually pull it up on my phone so I don't have to change anything. Looking at our roster currently, we had no cleric support whatsoever. Which is fine in some cases, you can get away with it. I definitely think that's very much possible. Not the worst thing in the world, but it was something that needed some rectifying, because the only mon on our team that can do anything cleric-wise was Tapu Lele, and who typically does not want to have to run aromatherapy regularly to prevent situations like dealing with toxic spikes or whatever like that. So, needed to get some cleric support on the team for sure. That was something very prevalent, especially wish passing. Wish passing, I thought, would be very important with this team, especially because Galarian Zapdos doesn't have any form of natural recovery on its own. So I felt like if we could get some good recovery for Galarian Zapdos, it can have so much. It has so much more room to operate within each matchup. So I felt like that was incredibly important. And after using it and running calcs with it and whatnot, and I realized Marowak was not going to get the job done for the team. It's good to serve the role that it needs to, with being a ground type, having an immunity and whatnot. But aside from that, in order to be an offensive threat, it requires its own item, and if it gets knocked off, then it's essentially lost most of its usability in the matchup. So that's not fun. And then to add on top of that, defensively it's fine, but if you want to run it defensively, you're pretty much either running Thick Club so you can still do some damage, or you're basically just making it I'm sort of a wall, but I have no real way of recovering and no real way of dealing with the opponent outside of maybe throwing off a toxic. Excuse me. I just kind of realized Marowak just wasn't going to get the job done for the team. I just didn't see, looking at a lot of future matchups, I didn't see myself bringing it ever. Just because I felt like, even though maybe my opponent had a strong electric type or something, that I felt like there were other members of the team that I could probably utilize to deal with it better. So decided I was going to get rid of Marowak. And hopefully in my transactions replace it with a better ground type, which I personally believe that I have. The other mon I decided to get rid of, and this one isn't a surprise to me. It was our last pick of the draft. So I'm not shocked that I ended up getting rid of it. It was something that I just didn't... I don't know. I don't think I've ever really felt great about this mon, even when I've drafted it before. And even this generation. I've utilized it several times to some success, but it's just such a hard mon to get going. And that is Avalugg. Avalugg, yes, getting rid of Avalugg, we do lose one spinner. But looking at our team, we have a fantastic core of 2 mons that honestly don't really need much support in removing hazards. Like, I don't see many instances where the combination of Blastoise and Rotom-Mow won't be able to at least have one of them get rid of hazards when they're a problematic situation. I don't personally see that as being ever a thing. That's just my thought process. I don't see them ever struggling to do so. And frankly, I just don't see any matchups, where Avalugg is the better spinner to bring. The only situation where that could potentially be the case is if my opponent pretty much has all physical attackers on their team or something like that, and then maybe Avalugg can do something. But that's pretty much about it. Like, its physical defense is so great, but its Spadef is so terrible that any Mon that you can carry special coverage, especially special super effective coverage, immediately becomes threatening to it. And that's a basic thing to tech on in prep. So it's not even like it's something that, it's not like it's an issue that can be easily skirted around. It makes a lot of more Mons terrifying to deal with. Some Tic Tacs. So, Avalugg is going to be going. So, it's unfortunate, but Avalugg just doesn't do the job that I need it to, and it doesn't work for me. I'm not a fan of it. I've never been a fan of Avalugg as a Pokemon. I personally feel like if I didn't draft it in most drafts, that no one would. So, sorry Avalugg, but you're going back to the bench and probably going to be there permanently. It's just the way that it is. But, with that, we made our replacements. And the first one is going to be our Cleric for the team. That's going to be Gene the Lickitung. Now, it worked out nicely. Lickitung is incredibly cheap. And that is super important. Because not only is it good, like, it's very bulky. But it's very naturally bulky. Base 90 HP, base 75 in both defenses. Doesn't sound great, but it is significantly better. It's actually slightly better in some cases than Marowak. It's better on the Spadef side. And it's about equal on the Fizdef side. Without any boosts. Just because of his ridiculous HP stat. And the fact that this thing's going to be carrying Eviolite, which is boosting those defenses significantly, makes this Mon even better. So, not only... And it's a Mon that only has one weakness, being a normal type. So, we're just adding on to the reasons why Lickitung is just a good Pokemon. Yeah, it doesn't have any offensive presence, but you're not drafting Lickitung to sweep teams. That's not why you draft Lickitung. You draft Lickitung as a cleric. You draft Lickitung to sit in front of stuff, tank hits, throw up wishes, all that kind of shit. That's what you do with Lickitung. Period. There's no debate on that. That's what Lickitung is here for. So, that's what it's going to do. Ability-wise, only one that's really ever going to matter is going to be Oblivious. Because not being able to taunt this thing is massive. Sorry, my tooth's being weird. But it's a cleric that cannot be stopped by normal means. Which, to me, I think is utterly brilliant. Like, you can't just, predict my switch into my cleric, double out to your Tauntmon, or predict the taunt, or fire off a taunt as he's coming in to stop him from doing anything. Lickitung will proceed to just do whatever he wants anyway. He does not care. That's what's so brilliant. And on top of the fact that he's a good cleric, It's got really good coverage and fairly balanced offensive stats. Which essentially means, like, if there's a 4 times effective move that I need, Lickitung might have it. And could potentially catch that 4 times weak Mon off guard. Which is always great. So, yeah. That's our Lickitung. Gene, because of Gene Simmons from Kiss. That's just... If you didn't figure that out, then, well, I don't know what you're doing. And then, next up, we replaced our Marowak, our ground type, with a classic favorite of mine, Budweiser the Mudsdale. Stamina, most likely going to be the ability we have 99.9% of the time. While Inner Focus and Own Tempo both have their merit depending on the matchups. But Budweiser here, it just outclasses Marowak in every conceivable way. It is infinitely bulkier across the board. It hits hard without assistance. And it just does work. It just works. It's a good fucking Mon. Mudsdale, plus its stamina ability, increasing its defense every time it takes a hit, which it does take hits incredibly well. It has the potential to spiral out of control. And that's brilliant to me. Because, like, they give it Body Press, which makes this thing infinitely more terrifying. Because of just the simple fact alone that this thing gets defense boost when it takes hits, you're immediately essentially giving him a +1 attack boost every time you touch this thing, is if it has Body Press. And with that base 100 defense, it's going to be doing some significant damage to you. It also replaces Marowak as a Stealth Rocker, which is perfect. It's pretty much like a direct replacement without losing anything at all. I literally lost nothing by getting rid of Marowak and only gained positives with Mudsdale. So, this has just made our team infinitely better between just these 2 Mons being added alone. So, hopefully, I'll be able to utilize them to the best of their abilities in our future matchups, and we won't take any L's for the rest of the season. That's the goal. Just go through the rest of the season and just sweep our way through. Fingers crossed. But I'm going to end this one here now. I've rambled way too long. If you guys have enjoyed, make sure to leave a like down below and subscribe if you have not already. And until next time, guys, I'm PokePrimer, and I am signing off. Peace.